Breaking news. The vault is open and the fright reels have escaped. With your hosts, the Jims. Sit back and put on that raincoat because it's going to get bloody.
Bloody awful if you ask me.
Fright Reels is brought to you by Slap Happy Toys.
Slap Happy Toys where nightmares play. Come on down, it's your lucky day. With every toy, a haunted smile, dark magic fun that'll last a while. Get your chills, get your scares. Slap Happy Toys, they're everywhere.
Here at Slap Happy Toys, we use the best materials for your products like polycarbonate silicone from the base of active volcanoes.
With every toy, a haunted smile, dark magic fun that'll last a while. Get your chills, get your scares. Slap Happy Toys, they're everywhere. They're everywhere. They're everywhere.
Slap Happy Toys.
Hey everybody, welcome back.
Hey.
It's the Fright Reels podcast. I'm Jimbo.
I'm Jim.
We're the Jims. We got another podcast for you today. We're pretty excited about. Jim, tell them what we're doing.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
As you might see Leatherface right in front of you. Yeah, it's the 50th anniversary of the release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Was it last week? It was somewhere like a week or two ago.
Last week.
And
right before Halloween, I think.
Yeah. And like we were saying, it's essentially it's the first slasher film. It has to be.
Yep.
Being 1974. I mean, after that, you got Michael Myers in 78. And now there was horror before that, but I wouldn't categorize any of it as slasher. And maybe people will nitpick and find, well, in 1968, it's like, okay, but the official slasher kings, your main big guys, your genre
right,
leading slashers. It all starts off with Leatherface, the Sawyer family, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
In the beginning of the movie, there was this big, long list of the story.
Yeah, the interlude or the prologue or whatever the hell you call that.
Right.
And which, by the way, was read by John LaRoquette of Night Court fame.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And it's funny because for years he said that was his first role. And he said that he never saw the movie, which I think is bullshit, but who really cares? Yeah. But yeah, that was just like a college gig for him. He had a really good voice. He read the script. To him, it doesn't mean nothing. He went in one day to Texas University, where the fuck they were shooting it, read something for 15 minutes, got his $75 or whatever, and left. So,
right.
And that goes for all the other cast members too. I guess they were recruited like through the college and like through, local. It was all sort of basically, obviously, local, low budget, independent guerrilla filmmaking.
Right. What was it? $300,000 to make.
Really?
Yes.
That seems low, but that's kind of a lot back then, though.
Back then, yeah.
That's still a lot of money. I mean, that's a new house was like $10,000,
and it grossed $30 million.
Jesus, dude, people didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
That movie fucked people up. I remember that, like with my parents and stuff, it being so taboo that like they didn't even talk about it. And we've talked about this before. My parents took me to see a bunch of whacked out movies, but that was some other level. I think it kind of fell in that. What was that other rapey one? Like Last House on the Left or something like that?
Yeah.
At the time, in that it was like this sort of the original sort of torture porn in exploitation films, and it became like a teenage midnight drive-in movie thing. But that one changed the fucking game. And you're right. Like you said, it was a low budget, and nobody expected them to make any fucking money. Hollywood wasn't even looking at them. Like now Hollywood at least knows to look and ignore. They weren't even worth ignoring. They had no fucking idea what those guys were doing.
Was this before Exorcist?
A year after.
But
The Exorcist is a movie.
Right.
There's a mother and daughter relationship.
Sure.
There's a lot of, and it fucked people up bad. But that one went for Academy Awards.
Yeah.
I mean, this one I don't even think played in real theaters. Or certainly not a nationwide release.
Right.
Well, maybe after it hit its first million, maybe they decided, hey, you know what? This is a phenomenon. We got to roll with this.
Yeah, the working titles, there was two titles, is Stalking Leatherface or
That's
Head
awful.
Cheese.
Have you ever had head cheese?
No.
I've seen it. I never eaten it.
I've smelled Limburger cheese.
But head cheese isn't cheese.
Yeah, no, it's
head.
Yeah, it's brain.
Have you ever had head, Jim?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Booyah! Daddy. So Right. So it was, guerrilla filmmaking. And I think, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place. This movie really excites me. I have a lot going on in my head. But I think for my money, and I've always said this to a lot of people, and there's two things about it. First of all, people always freak out about, I don't really like gore, and that's the goriest movie I've ever seen. There's almost no gore in it at all. They don't show any kills. Like, he kills that one dude with a chainsaw. You don't see it. You see her reaction to it. He puts her on the hook.
On the hook, yeah.
He cuts up Jerry or whoever it was. The other guy. It wasn't Jerry. I can't remember the other dude's name. Doesn't matter. And you don't see it at all. You just see her react to it, which was genius filmmaking and made it all the scarier. But people talk about it. They have this either memory of it or an urban legend version of it, that it's some gore fest, and it just simply isn't.
No.
And the other thing that I always say about this movie, there's sort of two parts to this, but part of the reason that it's scary is because it seems so realistic. And part of the reason that it seems so realistic is they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So it looks like a handheld home movie with some kid's 8mm camera.
Right.
And the other thing is there's no real music.
Well, they said they used Slaughterhouse Sounds as the soundtrack.
See?
Yeah.
Because you know why that's scarier? Because there's no music in real life.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. People have used music very well in horror movies. The Shining comes to mind. And it builds tension and this and that. But you sort of feel like you're in a scary experience, like reading a book or something. This looked like something you weren't supposed to be seeing. It looked like a fucking documentary. Because there's no, and I think part of that, unconsciously, people don't realize is the fact that there's no score. Yeah. It's just the sound of existing. And that, I think, throws people off.
In the beginning, they showed almost found footage of the cops going down through the basement and all that.
That's so cool. Cool. I love that sound of that camera. Yeah. Like the old camera bulb going off. And then you and I were talking about that too, that I guess that opening scene, in the script, they wanted it to like start as a zoomed in on an eye of a dead cow on the side of the road, or a horse rather, and then zoom out to its corpse and then the thing. And they either couldn't get a horse or they couldn't afford one, or maybe they had it and they didn't film it quick enough and it rotted. I can't remember why. And last minute, they had to go with the armadillo that they found on the road, which seemed all the better because it took place in Texas. And it's the armadillos and all that stuff. Right.
Then they showed a lot of dead bodies in the beginning. Those
all
two
the skulls
corpses
and stuff. Yeah.
On the cemetery.
Tombstone.
Yeah.
Your daddy buried in there? Come with me. I'll go see if we can find your daddy.
My daddy.
Hey, fella, I'm going to take your girl for me for a minute. You don't mind, do you? Yeah, that whole town was fucking weird. But no, even all those first shots, it's like weird close-ups on like rotted hands and like just bones. They were saying that they just got buckets and buckets of fucking bones from like local slaughterhouses. And then there was some art director that they just let go wild, and he made like, bone chairs and bone tables and couches and lamps and shit.
Right.
Like Ed Gein did.
Like they tried to get it as a PG movie.
Really?
Yeah. It said here the director Toby Hooper tried to keep violence and gore to a minimum so he can get a PG rating, but it ended up being R. So
that explains why some of the violence and gore is minimum, but inadvertently, it intensified the terror of it. Right. You know what I mean? Which made it gave an R rating. Isn't that interesting? I never fucking knew that.
Now, didn't Rob Zombie do that in 1,000 Corpses? The sound of the bulb going off in the beginning of that. He kind of copied some of that.
Yeah, that was a big ode to that movie. Yeah. A lot of others too.
A lot of it, yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely an ode to that one. Certainly the family, the Sawyer family, and the whatever their Firefly family or whatever the fuck they were. God, that movie's fucking great. Right, then it starts off in a cemetery because they're down there to see, there were some grave robbings, and then they were looking to see if her granddaddy's grave had been defiled, and it hadn't.
Yeah.
And then and then they go back to the van, and it's 4 hippie kids in the van. Her fucking annoying ass brother.
The guy in a wheelchair.
Oh my God. Jerry.
Yeah. And he rolls down the hill.
He rolled down the hill with a can of piss all over him. And that dude cut his hand and cut his arm with his straight razor after he took his picture.
What was his name?
I don't know. I don't know if he's like, I think we just picked up Dracula. The dude was fucking hitchhiking. They picked him up.
And he's the one that ended up chasing the girl at the end
with that same razor.
Leatherface, yeah.
So he's Leatherface's brother, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny that I read a thing about that guy with the big birthmark, and I read a thing about that actor. Or I didn't read a thing at all. I watched a documentary, a real good one actually, and that guy was saying how he was inspired by his cousin. He had a special needs cousin that was maybe institutionalized or wasn't. I'm not really sure, but the guy was off. And he said he basically based his performance off of having known somebody off. That's a terribly convincing performance. I mean, right off the fucking jump, as soon as they pick that guy up, it's like, what the fuck's going on, man? I remember for years thinking too, when he got out of the van and then he like rubbed his blood on the side of the van, I thought he was like drawing a symbol or a message or something, but he wasn't.
No, just smearing his poop.
The sledge is better. That tool is no good. The gun's no good. It takes people out of work. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That guy's a
I was just
fucking
thinking
weirdo.
of the smells they were talking about and everything.
Oh, in that last scene. Were you thinking about Sally?
Yes.
She's the first final girl.
Yeah. Braless Sally. Yeah.
She had it going on in all kinds of ways. You know what I think my crush on Sally was? She reminds me of my babysitters. Because it was the 70s and my babysitters all dressed like that. They all looked like that. And they hung out with, guys that looked like those other two with like leather belts and big hair. And I mean, they were just a bunch of, not hippies like the 70s hippie kids, like the ones from like Dazed and Confused. You know what I mean? It was like that group.
Right.
But anyway, fucking Leatherface, dude. It's so good. And Gunnar Hansen, I guess, spent like a weekend in a mental hospital.
Lobotomy Bay.
Vegetable land, home of the criminally insane.
Oh, yeah.
As an inmate, like to observe other people, because he was saying how challenging it was because he was going to have to do a role without any words, kind of like Boris Karloff in Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And so he basically spent his whole like weekend watching mentally unstable people and how they acted and how their mannerisms, because he did a silent performance. And it's brilliant, man. He looks troubled, like he's banging his head or he's freaking out because he doesn't know where all these kids are coming from.
Yeah.
Like, he starts freaking out because there's one, then all of a sudden there's another one, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? But in his own sort of slow, dim-witted way or whatever. It's just a brilliant, that movie is so fucking good, man.
So he was 6'4", and they put 3-inch stilts in his shoes, in his boots.
No kidding.
So he could tower over everybody in the movie.
He sure did.
Yeah.
That's the same. I'm 6'4". Me and Gunnar are the same. He's dead now. I think.
Poor Gunnar.
I didn't kill him, did I? Did I ever tell you we killed John Denver that way?
Yeah, you said you thought you killed John Denver.
Yeah, we were hanging out, cruising around, and my one buddy and I John Denver came on the radio. And I don't remember who said, but one of us said to the other, isn't he dead? And the other one said, well, if he isn't, he ought to be. And like an hour later, we heard over the news that he died in a plane crash.
Why should he ought to be?
I don't know, because we were making fun of his music.
Yeah.
And we like looked at each other. We heard it on the radio. We're like, dude, did we just fucking kill John Denver? So I think we did. Let's get right back into it. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jim. All right, so wait, we're getting all over the fucking place. All right, so they pick up the hitchhiker. I guess we're not telling anybody, they don't fucking know. But they pick up the hitchhiker. He's a freak. And they say, fuck you, get out, after he takes a picture and then lights it on fire and cuts him. And he just gets too weird. They kick him out. And then they stop to get gas, right?
Yeah.
And then the cook, is he their dad?
I don't know. Yeah, he's a relative. I know that, but
you're just a cook.
Right.
You can stop them. No, he can't. And my favorite's Grandpa.
Yeah.
With his little feet and arms going like a baby, like Sleepy Joe. Oh, that guy, dude. Grandpa's the best. But, right, so they stop and get gas. Then they get directions to the old farmhouse that used to be her daddy's place, right?
Right.
And he gives them directions and they go up to the farmhouse. And frankly, everything would have been fine. Those guys weren't like looking to get them.
Right.
They didn't come and find them and kill them. They just decided, oh, we want to go swimming. There's an old swimming hole back there. Take this path on this thing. And the two annoying, well, they're all pretty annoying except for Sally, but the other couple goes down there to go swimming. He hears a generator at the farm and is like, hey, maybe they have some gas. And she's like, they're not going to want to give you any fucking gas. Right. He's like, oh, I can give them my guitar for collateral. And they fucking break into these people's house, essentially.
Yep.
And Leatherface responds by banging him over the head.
So they got what they deserved.
Yeah, Murray.
Murray.
You know what you get? Well, he didn't want him to werewolf or nothing. So it always comes back to that shit, man.
It does.
But so fucking now we're saying it out loud. I'm kind of on their side.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they had gone in that house and not left, they would have lived. The family would have never found them or given a shit about them. They would have got back in their fucking van. They would have saw the house, which they did, and it was empty. Smoked a joint or whatever they're going to fucking do. Go in the van and leave.
What about the cop? The cop was part of it.
No.
That
was in the remake.
Okay.
With Arlie Ermy or whatever. Yeah. Which was kind of a cool take. He was a good family member.
Yeah.
But no, there was none of that. But then what was fucked up, okay, so the first couple goes down there. They're looking for gas. They find Leatherface. Oops. Leatherface bangs that dude over the fucking head, sticks him in the freezer, takes that chick in that classic scene where he grabs her feet kick out, and he's dragging her through the door, and then he slams that metal door. What a brilliant fucking piece of cinema. Then puts her up on a meat hook, man. That was a rough scene.
It's gotta hurt.
Then takes her boyfriend and fucking saws him up with a chainsaw while she's hanging on the meat hook, watching. And she's kind of doing this shit. And she's basically wearing nothing. I mean, she's got a tiny short shorts on and like a little A-frame tube top, kind of.
Yeah.
Which I was reading about the set director, whatever they called him, was saying what a difficult thing it was to get a harness on her that you couldn't see to support her because they obviously didn't stick a meat hook in her back.
Yeah.
But she said it was just torturous. It cut off the circulation to her legs. It was just awful. It hurt her spine. I think they all got hurt on that set, man.
Yeah. But Sally, I mean, the last 15 minutes of the movie, it's just her screaming constantly.
Dude, I couldn't believe we both noticed that this time. Yeah. That's all it is. It's 20 straight minutes of screams.
Well, after the dinner scene, once that started happening.
Yeah. You could stop that. Dude, that scene is really uncomfortable. When they take off the fucking mask and she... Okay, so first, she runs down to find... She has to leave... Or no, she brings her stupid fucking brother in his wheelchair down the hill because they're looking for that other couple.
Yeah.
And, well, first of all, Jerry leaves first, right? He gets killed because he goes looking after him.
Right.
Then those two go down there. Leatherface shows up and kills her brother while she's pushing the wheelchair. She goes running off, finds the gas station guy, and is like, "Oh, you're going to save me," essentially. And he starts beating her with a broom. And she's like, "Fuck." And he puts her in a bag and is beating her over the head with a broomstick and shit. She still doesn't know what's happening. She's tied up and gagged and put in a chair. They take the fucking thing off of her, and then she sees the jerk off that she fucking picked up.
Yeah.
Not tailgating.
Who's tailgating?
They were playing horseshoes and fucking
horseshoes.
Cornhole. They were playing cornhole, that's for sure.
Yeah. So they made it out to be, they marketed it as a true story, but obviously it wasn't because there was no basis of anything.
Just loosely based on the fact that
the Ed
Gein wore women's skin and made lamps and shit. So that portion of it.
Yeah.
I got to say too, I've had this discussion. I mean, Cinnamon and I were discussing Michael Myers. And she's of the belief she likes the newer mask, and she thinks it's better and it's scarier, this and that. And I like the old basic one because it's completely realistic and scary. Yeah. It's not so cinematic. Right. And that goes for Leatherface too. Those in that first movie, his face, it looked like skin.
Yeah,
it was poorly made, like a real skin. It wouldn't be all cool and horror like in Leatherface. Now Leatherface, the movie Leatherface 3, the mask looked intense, but it didn't seem real.
Yeah.
But what I love so much about that movie, and I didn't notice it until years later, is he changes. He puts on his formal face for dinner.
Oh,
that's got makeup on it. Stuff.
Yeah.
In the beginning, he doesn't have makeup on. In the second one, he puts on his makeup face because he's going to dinner.
It's almost a woman's face. Like
they're all women's faces.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He wears just like Ed Gein wears mom's face, women's faces. But yeah, he has the fucking pretty little lady face on for dinner. She sees that, and obviously, and to see that filmed from like her vantage point, sitting at the table and seeing all that, it's like even now I'm like, God damn, that is a fucked up looking dinner.
So the scene where the blood, he was sucking the fingers, That's real blood. I guess a gunner had secretly cut him to get the blood. Yeah.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
He's sucking on her finger, the grandpa. And then, so the scene that we're talking about, and I'm sure for those of you who've seen it, at the last 20 minutes of the movie is this dinner scene, and they're at this dinner table. They're gonna kill her and probably eat her, I assume, but they're at this dinner table, the whole fucked up family and she, and it takes place in this room. And we were doing our research on it, and so they filmed it in Texas. It was Texas in August. It was 118 degrees outside, and they were inside in this room. They didn't have any air conditioning. The fucking lights from cinema. Video, it's not that bad. When you're using film, you have to have the brightest fucking lights. That raised the room to, it was in the 200 degree. They painted all the windows black because they had to film around the clock. Because they only had 48 more hours to finish, and they had this last scene they had to get. It was so hot that the meat on the table was cooking in the room and rotting.
Yeah.
And there was old bones that weren't completely clean. They said it completely stunk. Then they were throwing up. So then you also had the smell of hot vomit and everything else. And so her terror and disgust wasn't all completely manufactured,
Right.
It's so great.
That scene took 26 hours because they tortured her, and the actress just couldn't take it, and she was going to have a mental breakdown, and they had to make her okay. And it took that long.
They did a Shelley Duvall on her.
Yeah.
You know what's really wild? There's a really good scene in that where they zoom in on her eyeball over and over, like a real close up, and she's freaking out. And I'm like, I'd never seen anything like that in movies before. That was a really cool one. Yeah. And also the wig on the stuntman that jumped out the window in her outfit.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's all big and bouncy, like she got a Ogilvy home perm, or she got the VO5 hot oil treatment. It was all, wasn't she sweaty 5 minutes ago? She looked like Farrah Fawcett. Actually, she looked like Lee Majors in a Farrah Fawcett wig.
Right.
What are your thoughts, Jim?
On what part?
What's your favorite part of that movie? Do you have a thing that every time you see it, you're like, God damn, that's fucking great?
I mean, the dinner scene was pretty intense. Obviously, the end when Leatherface misses them and they take off and he's just doing pirouettes and dancing around. That's pretty iconic. But
I love that too. I really like. I like just that. It's a little bit of cliched, but when the first couple go in there and he grabs her and pulls her in and then slams that metal door. Mm-hmm. That's just so fucking iconic. And I really like when she grabs the knife and the cook is hitting her with the fucking broom.
Yeah.
I don't know why I like that scene so much, but I do.
A broom handle wouldn't really hurt that bad.
Mm-mm. Well, the problem was he disarmed her by hitting her in the hand with the broom, and then she dropped that knife because it was a big fucking knife. Right. Once that was the case, she wasn't going to stop him.
Yeah.
Old man or not, he's stronger than her.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be like a 20-year-old girl, 17-year-old girl or something, 20-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There's a will to live, I guess, but I love all of that. I love the relationship between all of them because they really seem like they have these underlying relationship problems because he's like, you're just a cook. Shut up, you bitch hog. Yeah. Like they're yelling at him. And then he's mad. Hog. Look what your brother did to the door. He's all pissed. Oh, so it is his brother. And then and he's pissed off at Leatherface. And then Leatherface is kind of crying and cowering because his dad or his uncle or his brother or whatever that guy is to him. Probably his brother and his dad. Daddy loves you.
So that gas station they used in the movie is now a bed and breakfast called the Last Chance gas station.
Based on the film?
Yes.
Oh, can we go?
Sure.
Let's go, Jimmy. Let's go do an episode there. Do they have any single beds?
I hope not.
So then, right, we get to the end. She breaks out of the window. It's now daylight because she'd been in there all night. Because they're hitting her over the head with the fucking hammer and trying to get Grandpa to bash her head in or whatever. And she moves and it hits one of them and it freaks. She gets out just enough to jump out the window and start running.
Yeah.
Now that idiot's chasing her from behind, the hitchhiker. I think his name is just the hitchhiker, actually. And slashes her with a straight razor, which has got to fuck her up. But he's toying with her. At any time, he could have tackled her.
Yeah, he was running.
He's running and zigzagging and cutting her and just fucking with her because he's an idiot. Else he could have locked her in.
Yeah.
Come behind big fat fucking Leatherface. He's a few steps behind because he had to grab his chainsaw.
Yeah.
She runs out in the road. The hitchhiker sees a truck coming, and for some reason, instead of getting out of the way, goes like this for 15 seconds until it runs him over. So he gets run over. Now it's just the truck stops. Yeah. The Black Mariah gets out.
I think that's the name of the company, though.
Really?
On the side of the
It's
truck.
not the dude's
it can't
name?
be his name.
Why not? People put like Captain Quick on the side of their
My
truck.
name's Black. I mean, no.
He's the Black Mariah.
I think it's the company name.
Well, anyway, the Black Mariah truck stops. She comes running out. Black Mariah gets out and sees that dude with the chainsaw. It's like, fuck that noise. He jumps back in, hits Leatherface with a wrench, and then just starts running.
Yep.
So here's my thing. He hits Leatherface with a wrench. Leatherface falls down, cuts his thigh open. A different little pickup truck comes along. Sally gets in the back, hysterically losing her mind, gets away. Leatherface is sort of zigzagging the side of the truck a little bit, gets away. First of all, that's one of the best performances ever. Her maddening laughter on the way out of there, for being an amateur actress, that is a really, really, really brilliant scene. But like you said,
that might be real.
It might be real if it was filmed chronologically. I don't know when they filmed that scene, but my point is, then he does the iconic dance because he's frustrated that he didn't get to kill her.
Yep.
My point, though, is Black Mariah just ran down the road. He didn't get in the other truck, and he abandoned his semi. So did Leatherface ever get to him and kill him? Did he make it to a town and tell people? What happened to the Black Mariah, man?
Be a whole spinoff.
Yeah. At first, I couldn't tell if that was a man or a woman until I noticed the beard.
Oh, yeah.
He had big boobs.
Black Mariah. Maybe it was.
He had a tight yellow 70s t-shirt on and big boobies. And then I noticed, though, that he had a beard and kind of like a baby face. So I couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. And then he had a beard, and I'm like, it must be a dude. But that he just kept running down the road. He didn't get in the truck with Sally.
No, that was.
So did they get to him? Did they get to the Black Mariah?
Leatherface wasn't very fast.
He wasn't.
But neither was this guy.
And he had a cut leg.
Right.
Didn't stop him from dancing, though.
No, man.
You know, you would think that the people would have made more videos of him dancing to like a song.
Yeah, like
do you remember? And him spinning around. No one's done it.
You should do it.
It's coming up in this video shortly.
Do you remember when it was last September?
And then, so, I mean, it's all brilliant. Let's just touch on part 2.
Yep.
It was a long time later. It was in the 80s. It was like 10 years later at least. They basically had abandoned the franchise.
Yeah.
And then you had Dennis Hopper as a crooked cop, Bill Moseley as Chop Top. God damn, I love Bill Moseley.
Yeah.
And he was so good and creepy in that. And the radio chick, which was fun. I think of that sometime. Have you seen that in a long time?
It's been a long time.
We should watch that one together because it all is around this chick who's on the radio who gets a fucked up call at night alone in the radio station. And she hears a killing live. And I've thought of that when I'm on the radio alone out in the woods on a Saturday night. I'm like, holy shit, man. Doesn't this stuff ever happen to me? She's still around.
Yeah.
She goes to conventions and stuff. Her name was Stretch. She was kind of dishy, early 80s.
Was it part 3?
Part 3 was just called Leatherface, and it was like out in the bayou, kind of.
Wasn't Jennifer Aniston in one of these?
No, that's part 4. It's called Texas Chainsaw New Beginning, and it's Matthew McConaughey and the chick from fucking Jerry Maguire, Renee Zellweger.
Oh, it wasn't. Jennifer Aniston was in Leprechaun.
But Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey both got their start in the Texas Chainsaw. It's like a new generation, next generation or something. And it's just fucking garbage, dude. Yeah. But somehow they both became Academy Award winners. Isn't that weird? Yeah. Now that I say it out loud.
Start out with horror. We should do a whole thing on starting out in a horror movie, become a big star.
That's a good idea.
Kind of thing.
Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Bacon, Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis. Heather Langenkamp.
That's
she's the chick from Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't do anything else. I'm just being smart.
No.
Although, what's her face did? Patricia Arquette. She was in Dream Warriors, part 3. Yeah. I used to have a Patricia Arquette thing a little bit.
Yeah, she's pretty.
So I guess we'll edit out some of this. All right. So
and it wasn't a very deep plot or anything. Slashers usually aren't, but
it's not.
But yeah, I mean,
it's really good though. You just can't stop playing with that fucking
dropped
toy.
This chainsaw. No, you put toys out here. I'm gonna play with toys.
So, did anybody survive into the second one aside from Leatherface? I don't think was the dad in
they
it?
all. I don't know. In the second one?
Yeah.
No, I'm not very versed on that.
I think he was. Because it saw his family. I think it was him and the grandpa, but they changed the grandpa's mask. That's the other fun thing is that grandpa mask in that first one is so bad and it looks like a mask.
Yeah.
But he looks so old, and they said they only had one, I guess. So they had to get it right, and they couldn't take him out of makeup because they only had one, and when they take it off, it would destroy the mask.
Oh,
so he had to wear it for 26 fucking hours. All right, let me look this up. Guys, it's on the poster, dude. Yeah, he's in it. Look at there's the dad and the grandpa.
Yep.
And then they basically, who's that dead guy in the front?
I don't know. Some dead guy.
We'll put this up on the screen for you guys to figure out. So there's the grandpa. There's the dad character. Essentially, Chop Top Bill Moseley replaces the hitchhiker. As you can see, Leatherface's mask is too Hollywood in this compared to his old one. We'll put them side by side.
Yeah.
And then some weird dead guy in the front, which is fun. I don't know who that guy is. He looks like somebody from the Thriller video or something. But that one was just, whatever. That was an 80s slasher film.
Right.
This one wasn't that. Like, there was no genre for this. This was them trying to make an actual scary movie and inadvertently invented an entire genre.
Yeah.
And then what do? Well, did he direct Creepshow? Or no, that was George Romero. Oh, you know what he directed? He directed fucking Poltergeist. They gave him Poltergeist, man. Yeah. Him and Steven Spielberg together, which was great because he has such a knack for terror and Steven Spielberg has such a knack for storytelling that it was like this wholesome family terror, which to me, Poltergeist is one of the scarier movies I've ever seen, man. Especially when I was a kid. That movie fucked me all the way up, man. Yeah. And it's PG.
Yeah,
And Creepshow is R.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. They don't show any boobs or nothing.
No. But,
and fucking the parents in Poltergeist smoke a joint.
Yeah.
They sit on the bed and smoke a joint.
And the mom's shirt almost goes up.
Yeah. I kind of had a Jo Beth Williams thing.
Yeah,
too. She was kind of cute. I guess I had a thing for every actress when I was 10.
You did.
Yeah, it seems like it.
And every actor.
Yeah. Craig T. Nelson. Or that dude who is God is in his holy temple in Poltergeist 2.
Oh, yeah.
God is in his heart. I do like getting around.
A lot of people died in that movie.
Yeah, that guy was a fucking creep, oh man.
Yeah.
He's one of the all-time great. That movie sucked, but that dude was epic. He's kind of like the Darth Maul of that franchise. That it was a shitty movie, but he was so cool it didn't fucking matter. Yeah. We often go back to Darth Maul, too.
Yeah, because they shouldn't have killed him off.
No,
and he's not really dead, apparently.
No, he's got legs. He's got magic legs.
Real titanium.
Yeah, he does, Lieutenant Dan. He was in, because he was in the Chewbacca one.
Yep. Solo.
Yeah. Why do they have to keep doing that shit? I mean, Solo was all right. Disney's fucked it all up.
They messed everything up. Marvel, Star Wars.
I mean, I'll give them. They did the first year or two of Mandalorian.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing stuff.
Right.
After that, they just went to the well one too many times. Same with fucking Marvel.
Boba Fett sucked.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm a mayor. I'm walking through town.
I tried to justify it. Yeah. The only cool thing about that was that Cade, whatever his name is, the gunslinger, the blue dude, he was fucking cool. But again, he should have lived.
Right.
They're bringing these cool people and they kill him off. And it was kind of cool that he rode the Rancor, but that was it. Yeah. That was dumb.
Yeah.
And then they did the same thing with Marvel. It was so cool to the X-Men movies were cool. And then to have Iron Man movies and then the first Avengers. And then now it's the 68th Avenger movie.
Well, when did Disney take that over? Didn't Iron Man 1, that wasn't Disney, was it?
I don't know. I really don't know. Hey, stupid Disney. Maybe they'll let Disney take over the Texas Chainsaw franchise. God damn, what am I yawning for? Let's start that over. All right, so we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Texas Chainsaw, I give absolutely 5 bloody raincoats.
5 out of 5?
5 out of 5.
I agree.
That movie's perfection.
Yeah, that's good.
It's perfect. I wouldn't change a single fucking thing in it. It kicked off a genre. It kicked off at least one career of Tobe Hooper.
Yeah.
And maybe Kim who wrote the screenplay with him? Wasn't it Kim something? Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
Kim Henkel, I think. But I think it's a male Kim, like Kim Mitchell with "Go for a Soda." Do you know that song?
No.
Might as well go for a soda.
I knew you were going to start singing.
Do you know? You don't know that song?
No.
Well, it's Kim Mitchell and it's a dude. I also know a guy named Tracy. I know a couple of guys named Chris.
A lot of Chris's, yeah.
Kelly.
Yeah. Not that,
I know a guy named Rebecca. I mean,
used to be.
She told me she was a guy.
Right.
All right. With all of that said, Texas Chainsaw, 5 big bloody raincoats from me, 5 big bloody raincoats from Jim.
Right.
What are we going to do next, man? We talked about this. I'll tell you, why don't we let the people vote? Okay. We talked about the idea of, we have this long list of horror movies that we feel like Jim and I see that nobody else really sees. Like Oddity and The Killing of a Sacred Deer. And there's a whole bunch of weird ones from like Shudder and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm talking like 100 movies. And we were thinking maybe it would be interesting to do reviews of those because it's stuff that people haven't seen rather than just talk about Texas Chainsaw, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, all the stuff that everybody knows. I mean, I guess maybe both. I don't know. You guys tell us what you think, man.
I think we should do a whole series on H.P. Lovecraft movies.
Well, that's your fucking
Cthulhu
crew, man. You love those guys. Did you make that Cthulhu?
I did. I carved this effigy.
You didn't carve it.
Well, sculpted it.
Okay. See, it's not like a block of wood, is it?
No.
Did you ever try carving? It's hard.
Trees and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's difficult, man.
It is. You got to have the right tools.
I did. My dad got me a set one year of like wood carving tools because I just wanted to fuck with it. And I got some wood and I tried to make like a couple chess pieces just to start.
Right.
And it's fucking hard, man. And I cut my hands a lot. They have that. I don't cut my hands as much when I use Sculpey. Anyway, it's a brilliant piece, Jimmy. You should let me paint
I
it.
got to paint. No, I'm painting that shit.
You need to cut his eyes out and put in like glass and put a light inside of him.
No. Have you ever read Call of Cthulhu?
I never read any of it. No. Dude, I've read like 8 books in my life.
Well.
I'm a TV baby.
Well, yeah.
You read, don't you?
Yeah.
You're so interesting.
So.
And all your shit.
Lots of shit.
Do you write poetry too? Dark poetry?
I have, yes.
God damn it. Of course you have. There you go, ladies.
Then I used AI to make it into a song. It was pretty messed up.
For a brooding. Oh, speaking of songs.
Yeah.
So we want to thank today's sponsor, as always, Slap Happy Toys.
Slap Happy Toys.
What toy are they featuring today, Jim?
I don't know. What one do you want to feature today? I mean, we put out the...
Let's go to Black Phillip since you guys had the drinks.
We put out the Slap Happy, Slappy the Clown.
Oh, yeah. The official mascot.
He's on the Facebook page.
Slappy the Clown. We'll show you some pictures of him. Our official sponsor, Slap Happy Toys.
What would Slappy do?
Be a good shirt.
Just get a bunch of wristbands.
WSD and put his like head on it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we could make some shirts to sell and
we're gonna do a site with shirts and stuff.
So tell your friends, tell your neighbors,
tell your mother.
Word to your mother.
Your mother.
Have them watch this on YouTube and like and subscribe. That's always helpful. And then, I mean, obviously they can they can listen to it on podcasts and all that shit too. I don't really know how to do that though. That's more your thing. I've never listened to a podcast.
No. Yeah, no.
I've watched them.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
Like I watch Mr. Ballin a lot. You've watched him with me a little bit. That ex Navy SEAL guy who does the creepy stories. So I've watched them, which was the impetus for me saying that. Both of us saying that we kind of need to do a YouTube thing. We got to do some video because that's all I've ever watched.
So a lot of people that I ask if they've listened to our podcast, and we don't have an hour to take and listen to it. We don't, that kind of thing. But
so then we'll listen to it in pieces. That's a bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
But I guess people do podcasts. I know my nephew listens, Frankie, in his car, and I know Hutch. Hey Hutch, he's a mailman. He listens like while walking.
Right.
So it's not just video. Obviously, we have both available.
Yep.
So, all right, guys. Well, for Slap Happy Toys and Freight Rails, I'm Jimbo.
I'm Jim.
We'll talk to you next time.
Hail Cthulhu.
Daddy loves you.